Hey there, Planet Earth. I want to talk to you a little bit today about debt. How you can get out from under the weight of situations you probably feel you shouldn't have got yourself in. We're in a culture that demands we consume. We're in a culture where if you're poor, you sometimes don't have a lot of options. And so consequently, we sometimes get ourselves into financial situations that are difficult to get out of. Now, if you are poor, I know that this is a lot harder to do, but it is achievable. You just have to set your goals, keep your spending very tight, and make choices that free up money for you. That's not easy. That's not always going to feel good in the short term. You may have to do things like change your living situation by taking on roommates or joining a larger household just so that you have to pay less in rent. You may find that you have to crash in somebody's couch, and maybe the only way you can pay them back is to keep their place clean and do the dishes for a while on your off time. You may find that you have to give up a lot of luxuries that you really enjoy, but you only have to do that for a little while. It's short term, and I know it seems really hard now, but if you can get out from under this weight, you can make real progress. Because even if you don't make a lot of money, if you don't have any debt, and you don't have a lot of obligations, you'll find that you can live off of very little money by living simply. And I think you might discover that in a lot of ways, you may even be happier doing it. And if you do find you're already in situations where you have to take care of a family or take care of kids, or you have a car to pay off or what have you, these can still potentially give you a great deal of aid towards reaching your financial freedom and being able to support yourself and your family. Here's your 3 steps to financial freedom. 1, stop putting things on credit cards. Stop buying things beyond your means. On one hand, maybe you're thinking, oh, but I want this, or I need this for my personal project. If you don't have a means of paying that back with your personal project, or somehow making it pay for itself, or if you can't find something to sell or buy and resell at a better value in order to pay for that cost, it's not worth going further into debt for. Maybe you don't have a choice. Maybe you're buying food and groceries. At that point, don't be afraid to look into alternative options such as food banks and food stamps. And when you do go to the grocery store, take a much closer look at things like produce or healthier high-carb foods such as pasta, ramen. We've all done our stint living off of ramen. Pick your proteins carefully, your meats and your cheeses. Make some decisions as to what you can go without for a little while. Again, I know that's not easy, but there are options out there, and don't be ashamed to take advantage of them while you're in this situation. Remember, you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to lift yourself up and move yourself further along. You see, when you go into debt, you're paying for the privilege of using someone else's money. That interest adds up quick. If you drop $50, then you're going to end up paying $65 or $70. That means the cost of everything you buy is higher. It's sneaky. It's tricky. It's a trap. It's a trap! Don't get caught in it. 2, now that you've got your spending under control, figure out which of your debts has the lowest balance. Don't worry about the interest rates, and if you can, don't worry so much about which ones have the lower or higher minimum payments. The debt with the lowest balance is the one you're going to be able to pay off the fastest. On all your other debts, don't pay anything more than the minimum payment, and figure out how much you have left over to throw at that lowest balance. And that's exactly what you do until it's paid off. This has a huge psychological effect because you can see the progress happening. Once you've paid that off, it's gone. Don't put anything else back on there. Take the money that you were throwing at that and cascade it to the next lowest balance. You see, when you do that, you get a huge psychological boost because you can see your progress. And also, you become accustomed to not having that extra money available to you. Eventually, once you get these debts paid off, that money's going to be yours. Because you'll be used to not having that money around, you'll become accustomed to living at a certain income level. Again, psychologically, that makes it a lot easier for you to not overspend. With each debt that you pay off with these lowest balances, you take that money and you keep cascading it until eventually you will have these things paid off. And then that money that you were accustomed to not having, is yours. You can throw it in a savings account. You can buy yourself something nice. You have options at that point. It's kind of like giving yourself a raise by working hard for 6 months or a year or 3 to 5 years. Emergencies do come up, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do. But once you're in the rhythm of this, even that rhythm gives you more options in order to pay for the things that you have to pay for. 3, and this might be the most important step. Do not go back into debt. There are minor exceptions here. There are times when you need a vehicle for transportation. There are times when you find that you're better off buying a house than renting one. Maybe in order to advance your situation, you need to go back to school. But all of these things become far more feasible once you can get out of the hole you're currently in. Do not take on any more credit cards. Consider carefully your options if you're looking at school. Look at community colleges and vocational schools that have a lower cost of entry. If you need a vehicle, look for alternative options. Find out what your public transportation choices are. If you're living rurally, check with your neighbors. Oftentimes, they'll have extra vehicles that maybe need a little bit of work, but will cost you a whole lot less than going to a used car dealership. And as far as new cars go, unless you've got a tremendous income, it's not worth it. Learn how to get your hands dirty. Learn how to use your time, or if not yours, learn how to trade your time with friends and neighbors who maybe can help you maintain your used car and keep it up in exchange for something you can give them. We all have some skills of some kind that we can contribute. Even if it's something as simple as cleaning up or helping out with some manual labor in the backyard, barter, exchange. Your return on investment working with your friends and neighbors is generally going to be far higher than if you have to start shelling out money for things. If you're looking at buying a house, be really careful. Make sure you've explored all your options. I would highly recommend making sure that you've got a really solid, stable income and that you have some money set aside to put down for a down payment. If you can't do those two things, the interest and the risk is not worth buying a house. You're almost better off renting and investing elsewhere if you have the extra money. Or better yet, rent and save. Now, I know that's not comprehensive, and there's always little exceptions and little changes, and you're going to have to discover and make those choices on your own. But by following these 3 steps, you're going to give yourself a huge head start towards moving forward, and you're going to give yourself a great psychological boost the minute you start seeing results. All of this starts by making the decision to get yourself debt-free. There's a lot of other alternatives out there as well, including credit counseling and bankruptcy, but those can have a high cost. I recommend starting on your own and see what you can accomplish. Sit down for 15 minutes and just try to figure out where you're at and how much you owe, and don't let yourself be overwhelmed by that number. It may be big, but make a plan and start following it. If you're in too deep, then yes, absolutely. Get some credit counseling advice. Call your creditors and let them know what your situation is and negotiate with them. Tell them what you can give them every month and do it. We're in the age of the internet now. There's all sorts of options for making automatic payments. If you're not making enough money, look for opportunities to pick up a little extra here and there to stabilize your income a little. Maybe you pick up extra work on one of your days off. Maybe you can talk your boss into letting you work into some overtime. If you don't have internet at home, go to the library and surf the web for cheap or free things on Craigslist that you can pick up, maybe clean up and repair a little bit for a couple hours of labor, and then turn around and resell for some value. These things are not easy, but know this, I'm behind you. And I bet if you talk to your family and your friends, you'll find out a lot of them will be right behind you too. They'll back you up, they'll help you out. Remember, it's all about what's in your head and how you're thinking about it. Don't get down on yourself. It will be hard, but you will make it. So there you go. Suddenly I'm a financial advisor because I did it once. If you've got any ideas or advice for helping people get out of and stay out of debt, or if you just want to talk about your experiences or how well it's working for you, leave your comments below. If you're enjoying these vlogs or if anything I'm saying is helpful to you, please remember to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, it's all the little things that add up.